Well, hey everybody, John Rethlin here, and this is Hashtag Ask for Honesty, episode 22. I do apologize for the lateness of the show. As I said, I believe sometime during episode 21 that I would be doing episode 22 on Thursday, on 4th of July, despite all the fireworks. Unfortunately, you may have noticed you didn't get one. Well, that's because before work, I was having a lot of severe abdominal and back pain. Had to go to the hospital. It was so goddamn bad. Turns out I had a kidney stone. A small kidney stone. It hurt. It kind of still hurts, but I think it's breaking down, whatever, this kind of stuff. So it's a pain I would not wish on anybody. So if you guys have had kidney stones, you know exactly how painful they are. But do not worry. I was only in the hospital for a little bit, got treated. We'll see how much my insurance covers on the whole bill, but that's another story for another day. But thank you to everybody. If you're watching from Twitter and you checked on me, thank you. And to those that just see me exclusively on YouTube, that is why, you did not get a show. I'm sure you guys all understand, but I just thought I'd explain it because I like to be as transparent with you guys as possible and as honest as possible. And speaking of honest, this is Hashtag Ask for Honesty, and you want your questions answered. So leave questions below this video. 3 to 4 questions. If you guys do send more, I will try to put as many in on an episode as I possibly can. And wrestling, music, or movie-related questions, or send them in DM on Twitter, and I will answer the questions as detailed as possible. Or check the pin tweets I'll put up Tuesday morning, Thursday morning. Use the hashtag Ask for Honesty, wrestling, music, or movie-related questions. So without further ado, these are questions that were sent mainly on YouTube. And I do want to thank people for reaching out to me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for trusting me to answer your questions. And not just wrestling, but movie-related ones also. So here we go with Hashtag Ask for Honesty, episode 22 from Rich James on YouTube. What exactly is stopping you from reviewing some ECW TV and pay-per-views? Work, time, and other content that I have lined up, essentially. I did review, this is back when I was doing stuff on Ustream and putting it up in YouTube. I did review ECW pay-per-views, like in bunches and everything. So what I might actually do at some point, now that I'm using better video and audio quality, is I will probably go back and like maybe do the special events that they did in 93, and then special events they did in 94, and in 95, and so on and so forth, and stuff like that. TV, I don't know if I'm ever really going to get around to that, because seriously, I review so much stuff. I appreciate you for asking. I was never the biggest ECW fan, but I do recognize that they use a lot of good talents and have some good angles. So I'll probably get to it at some point, maybe during September, in October, maybe during later this year. I'll try to get to some of it, but it's probably going to be over time and everything, kind of the same as when I do retro reviews of WCW pay-per-views. It's just totally at random. I try to do it on 15 or 20 year anniversaries, but that's basically what it is. Time and all that. If you do want me to, and this is specifically to you, but others, if you want me to review some ECW pay-per-views, or however you want me to do them, please drop some comments, or please find me on Twitter and let me know. And if there's enough of a request, I will try to find some time to do it. Question number 2, do you think ROH will ever regain its hype and great match quality that they used to have? AEW came out and did that instantly. AEW has done some good stuff. I can't say AEW's been perfect. They need to calm down on the comedy. I answered that on another question, but but I agree with what you're saying. AEW has come right out of the gates and done some strong stuff, even with some of the stuff that's been hit and miss, comedy and that kind of stuff. I don't know if ROH is ever really going to regain that, because it depends how much people stay around, and I'm talking the fans and the talent, because they go through a whole lot of talent. I mean, Jay Lethal, Matt Taven, others, and people like that have stayed around, especially Jay Lethal. Good God, he's been, him and the Briscoes have been around for a really, really long time. Same with Marty Scurll. He's been around for quite a few years. Not as long as Lethal, but he's still been around for quite a while. No, I don't think they will, unless Sinclair is willing to give them better TV, because their TV exposure is not that good. Sure, Sinclair has a whole lot of markets and everything, but Ring of Honor is on at all these random times and everything, all this syndication. Their pay-per-views can't draw. Best in the World was in like a 5,000-seat venue, and I don't even think had 2,000 people in it, which is really sad. Now, the clips I heard, it sounded like the crowd was pretty loud, but it also sounded like there was a lot of echoing. And yes, I know attendance issues are something that go all over the place, from Ring of Honor to, well, Impact, not so much, because they don't really draw anything other than a few hundred people for their TV tapings. But WWE and a whole bunch of others, Fyter Fest did not have a full venue, and it's also a gaming convention, so I'm not surprised. I think they can, but I think it just depends on how much Sinclair wants to invest into them, and I'm talking as far as TV and stuff like that. If they don't invest in them, they're not going to regain that momentum. And I hate to say it, I think it was Final Battle 2016. It was 2016, I think. it was where Cole and, I think it was Cole and Cole Cabana and that kind of stuff, and they did that whole screwy finish stuff like that, and it really kind of shit the bed and pissed off a whole lot of fans. And I do remember seeing that. I didn't review it, but I do remember seeing it. It was pretty ridiculous. And I mean, if it wasn't Final Battle, I do apologize. But I do remember seeing a match between those guys, and the fans were like, what the fuck? We don't even understand why this happened. I hope they can regain their momentum. I am not optimistic, even though I think they have some good talent. They did bring Maria Manic in, who's can be a really good monster. Face, heel, maybe tweener or something like that. She's very dynamic. She's very powerful. She's very strong. She's good in the ring, what little bit I've seen of her, and she's a prodigy they could build on. But as far as that, I mean, you got Angelina Love and Velvet Sky, who are way past their sell date. Like, they got some issues, and they got some things that need to work out. Sinclair's got plenty of money. It just depends how much they want to throw at Ring of Honor and how much they want to throw towards TV and get better TV exposure. I mean, hell, Impact is apparently negotiating with Access TV in the U.S. to be on their TV instead of Pursuit, which I don't know how much more attention they would get on Access TV, but it's got a broader reach than Pursuit. Ring of Honor's got to try something like that, because there was a lot of formative years where they were doing some good shit, and now they're not. So hopefully they can regain it. I don't think they will, but hopefully they can. Question number 3. Did you ever watch Pro Wrestling Noah in their heyday? There were some freaking awesome matches in the early to mid-2000s. Kobashi and Misawa were great wrestlers. I've seen a little bit of Misawa, enough to know how good he is. Kobashi, I've seen very very, very little. What I saw, I was very impressed with. No, I've not seen enough Pro Wrestling Noah to really gauge, like, just how good it is. What I saw was impressive, but no, I have not had a chance really to see a bunch of stuff in their heyday. I got sent a few clips, mainly in DM, because that way, people wouldn't get in trouble for sending me the clips if they were copyrighted, or matches and stuff like that. I enjoyed what I saw, but it's just, I didn't have enough time really to invest in Pro Wrestling Noah even now. And same with All Japan, even though I want to invest time in watching and reviewing All Japan, I'm reviewing WWE and New Japan and doing the retro content and everything. And if I took on ECW pay-per-views, and I'm not knocking, I actually appreciate you asking me that, I really wouldn't have a chance really to even review Pro Wrestling Noah now, even though from my understanding they've changed a whole lot. But what I saw a little bit of in their heyday were impressive. I've seen some clips and matches on YouTube, and yeah, Misawa, I definitely see why they, praised him. And Kobashi, same thing. But I haven't seen enough of them to really form anything beyond saying, yeah, they're good, but, I'm not a super, super fan of them because I haven't seen enough. Question number 4, thoughts on Wrestling Society X on MTV. I thought it was a fun-ass show, and for what it was great. Gave a lot of indie wrestlers some shine and had a fresh, new feel for a wrestling show. I loved Wrestling Society X. I didn't like how the wrestling, the ring announcer or whatever, sounded like he was going to have a fucking stroke every time he talked. But it was animated. It was impressive. I mean, I think even Seth Rollins as Tyler Black was on there. I know Vampiro was. I know Sean Waltman was. I think even Scorpio Sky was. I think Scorpio Sky was. I think there was one also called the Human Tornado. There were others on there. Forgive me if I forgot some of them, but yeah, I actually enjoyed quite a bit of Wrestling Society X. I didn't like all the special effecty stuff and all the explosions and that kind of bullshit. I thought that was kind of stupid, but it was trying to be, a little ECW Combat Zone, but also have, a bit more of a mainstream feel to it. It was just trying to have fun. I did used to have the Wrestling Society X DVD set. I don't have it anymore. I think when I was moving, when I had to move back to my parents' house, I just purged a whole bunch of stuff once I got back. And just like, I think that was one of the ones I got rid of probably because I hadn't watched it in a while. But yeah, I enjoyed it at the time. I watched I think it was only like one season and change. I liked it for what it was, and I thought it was fun. I thought the announcing team wasn't great. I didn't think they were bad, but I thought the talent was pretty good. I would like to see wrestling be that fun. Maybe not go to that kind of extreme or whatever, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Thanks for asking about that, by the way. I think you're the first person to ask me about Wrestling Society X. At least since I rebranded this show from Questions for Me, and it might actually be the first time ever. But question number 5. Would you agree that the WWE or AEW should set up a program with Stardom or other Joshi promotions? Sorry, I always screw up and say Joshi, but it's Joshi. To send talent over for training in exchange for money or promotion for Stardom or the other companies in the States. Promote, like basically WWE would send the talents over we would pay, they would get paid, you know, they would get paid in promotion and that kind of stuff, and they would get a little money for helping train talents. People like Lacey Evans and Alexa Bliss could benefit greatly from something like that. I think Lacey working with other people actually would benefit her. I think Lacey's a lot further along than some people give her credit for, and I'm not saying you. Because I totally respect what you're saying. But there are some that's like, oh, Lacey Evans sucks. I don't think she sucks. I do think that they are thrusting her into the spotlight a little too quickly. After doing stop-start stuff with her, like when she was at the Rumble and then not doing anything with her until after WrestleMania, I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think she's doing the best she can in her role. But her working in Stardom, or her working with others like that, or other promotions they have something going with, yes, could definitely work. Alexa, I don't know if there's that much saving Alexa from, you know, what she's currently going through, which kind of limping along as a wrestler. I don't think Alexa's got that much time left in the ring. But yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I think they're doing that with the NXT UK talents like Toni Storm, Killer Kelly, people like that. I think they're sending them over to like other Japanese promotions that they're working with, which isn't a bad idea because honestly, if you know you're just doing the NXT UK tapings and a few house shows, it doesn't hurt to actually get people in doing some work. And hey, you can establish some relationships. And WWE needs to do that in Japan. Now, they definitely don't need to do an NXT in Japan. They no offense, shouldn't have done one in UK. Because I think that's going to end up being a money pit. No offense to the talents. No offense to the talents whatsoever, the male or female talents. But, yeah, I actually think it would be a good idea. And it wouldn't hurt, hey, have Natty go over there and work with some of them, even though Natty's finely tuned. If you have Alicia Fox still on your roster, send her over there to have some stuff done. Shayna Baszler, freshen her up a little bit, you know, after her title run is over, hopefully, soon. There are many women they could use and do that with. I think Nikki Cross could benefit from that. Mickie James is unfortunately injured. They got some people they could work with. But Lacey Evans, I think Lacey Evans could benefit from that, if nothing more than to gain some experience working with women of different sizes. Alexa, I don't know if Alexa necessarily could work, but I agree with you, it is a good idea. And now we go to Critical Sting from YouTube with a couple questions. Knowing your thoughts about wrestling, would you rather watch a 30-minute Sami Callihan match or 30 minutes of 24/7 championship segments? Oh, you can give me the 24/7 championship segments 11 out of 10 times as opposed to Sami Callihan. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're a fan of Sami Callihan, that's all good. I'm not knocking any fans of him. I find him to be a garbage wrestler, and I don't know about a garbage human being. I don't know how he actually is as a person, but for a guy that, you know, looked like shit when he was in NXT, he did decent, I guess, in like his brief run in Lucha Underground. That's back when Lucha Underground actually had some momentum, because now it sure as fuck doesn't. I don't even think they're going to do another season of Lucha Underground, which is a shame, because I enjoyed the first 2 seasons. I actually remember reviewing most of, I want to say, the second season. So that's a disappointment, but 24/7 championship segments, because at least that involves talents I like. I'm sorry, Sami Callihan I do not like. I don't know if I'm going to order Slammiversary 17 or not. Depends on finances, you know, because I was just in the hospital, so maybe I might want to save some money just in case. Even though my insurance may cover it. Hell, it covered the meds that the doctor gave me, but anyway. 24/7 championship for sure, because Sami Callihan, I've never been impressed by anything he's done. And apparently he's facing Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard to be able to wipe the floor with that fat piece of shit. But yeah, and I'm sorry, if anybody's watching this and you're a fan of Sami Callihan, that's fine. It's cool. I'm not knocking you guys. That's just how I feel. Question number 2. Who are the best sellers in wrestling outside of Dolph Ziggler? You know, that's a very good question. God, let's see. Will Ospreay's a pretty damn good seller. Johnny Gargano's a pretty good seller. As far as on the UK scene. I think Tyler Bates a very good seller. I think he really is. I think he's good. I think Trent Seven's very good. For the women, Xia Brookside, what little bit I've seen, she's pretty good at selling. Because, you know, she's tiny and everything. She's young, so she can get her ass kicked and be okay. But Kyrie's pretty good at selling. Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir are not good at selling. I do not understand how they are so bad at what they're doing. And I know that wrestling is tough, but for fuck's sake, just don't get into it then. But, best selling. God, let's see. God, that's a good question. Because, I mean, I thought of some when I was writing the question down, then I had to go to the hospital. So, but those would be ones that I would throw out. I think Velveteen's a pretty good seller because I think he can, you know, come up with some good expressions, like when his moves don't work, like when the finish doesn't happen. Riddle just seems like he's just high all the goddamn time, which he probably is. But Adam Cole, baby, I think he's pretty good at selling as well. But Ziggler, I still would argue that Ziggler's probably the best seller in WWE. As much as I don't like the whole "it should have been me" thing, he's just fucking great at selling. And then Connie Roberts from YouTube. This question came in on my Midsommar review. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm always saying Midsummer, but Midsommar. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I apologize. It's a cultural thing. I'm also bad at pronouncing things. But anyway, by the way, thank you for getting that Midsommar review over 200 views. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was the last, it was the last review I really could do, you know, before my hospital stay. But anyway, she asked, it's Connie Roberts, if I don't know if you've addressed it in previous videos or reviews, but did you watch the movie Mother? I'm wondering what you thought of it. It left me with a really disturbing feeling. Thanks. I did. I reviewed Mother after it first happened. And if you liked it, okay, that's fine. If you liked it, that's great. If you thought it appealed to you, that's great. If it touched you in a personal way, or if you were left disturbed in a good way, that's fine. I fucking hated the movie. I hated it. I like Jennifer, almost said Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Lawrence, and Javier Bardem, Michelle Pfeiffer, Ed Harris. I like all four of those actors. Darren Aronofsky directed The Wrestler, and which I liked, and he also directed Black Swan, which I loved. I know the Black Swan polarized a lot of people. I hated Mother. And at the time when I reviewed it, I wasn't spoiling as many, you know, instances in a movie as, you know, I started doing, I think, once, like, later 2017 rolled around. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I did not, I thought it was in too much excess for no reason. I know what they were doing. It was doing a Bible story and all that stuff and everything, but no, an Adam and Eve thing, and I hated the movie. I hated it, honestly. Which is sad given how much I love the visual style. The visual style was great. It looked great. The acting should have been better than it was, but it was such a simple story and such an excess and for no reason. And it just beat you over the goddamn head. Like Leatherface beat that guy over the head with a meat mallet and then dragged him back there. That's actually what it felt like for 2 hours. And not in a good way. Like Hereditary, Midsommar, again, mispronounced, sorry. Movies like that, I don't mind if they assault you with images and the acting and the in-your-face stuff. And even with a little bit of subtlety, I don't mind them assaulting you with a whole bunch of stuff at once if it's good. And I didn't think Mother was good. And I remember getting just freaking shredded, not just in the comments, but just like, you know, in stuff I said on Twitter. There were people that agreed with me, and there were people that thought I was like, you know, it's like, oh, you just didn't get it. No, I got it. It was an Adam and Eve story. I just didn't fucking like it. It was fucking stupid. Or, you know, a God and Mother Earth thing, and that's, you know, whatever the fuck story you want to call it. I just didn't care for it personally. I was left disturbed, but just not in a good way. And I mean, movies aren't meant to always make you, you know, feel happy-go-lucky and all that stuff and everything, but it just didn't appeal to me. I just didn't like it one bit, in spite the cast, in spite the visuals. I really did not like it at all. Bit of a movie plug here before I move on. Thank you, Connie, by the way, for asking that. I hope you don't mind, you know, the answer, but the whole point of hashtag Ask for Honesty is for me to be honest, even if my opinions do piss people off. Again, if people like movie Mother, that is all great. I will be actually doing 2 movie-related countdowns at some point. That'll probably be split into 2 or 3, but it's going to be top 50 favorite horror movies of the last 25 years and top 50 least favorite horror movies of the last 25 years. And the reason I was doing that is I had a chat with my friend Abby VX on Twitter, and she came up with that. I said, hey, you know, you should do some countdowns at some point. I was going to split it up 25-25, you know, top, and then another top, and then another least favorite, and a least favorite. But basically, I'm going to end up doing those at some point. So I will be including Mother on one of those, and judging by the way I just reacted there, you probably can guess where I'm going to list it. But I didn't care for it, but I do understand why some people liked it. I just didn't. Aronofsky is a very polarizing director, but I like Black Swan. I like The Wrestler, especially like Black Swan. I thought the visuals and stuff like that was great. Suspiria, as far as a dance movie with horror elements, eclipsed it by far, the Suspiria remake. But no, I did not like Mother at all. But anyway, we're going to get on to Burrow from YouTube. 8 questions, but that's okay because I actually, these are going to finish off the show here. So it's probably going to go the full, almost 38 minutes. But they asked, if back in 2004 Lesnar decided to stay in WWE instead of trying the NFL, how do you think that would have affected WWE back then? Would guys like Eddie Guerrero, JBL, Cena still get a push to the main event picture? Would a Mania match with Goldberg still have taken place? Okay. Firstly, I think Lesnar would have burned out a whole lot quicker because he was not happy with the travel schedule. But let's just say he was happy where he was. Eddie Guerrero probably still would have gotten the title run because that was before Lesnar decided to leave. Lesnar apparently made that decision very, very close to WrestleMania, so sometime after No Way Out, if you're to believe it. The match with Goldberg would have taken place and Lesnar would have beat him because Lesnar would have been staying. But then they decided to have Goldberg win because they figured they could convince Goldberg to stay. Neither one worked. Eddie Guerrero would have gotten a title run. I would say Lesnar probably would have won it back from him at some point. JBL, nope. I don't think JBL would have gotten a WWE title run. Unless they decided to throw Lesnar back on Raw, and they could have done that. In fact, that would have been kind of interesting. But yeah, JBL would have been interesting because I think he probably would have just been a mid-card or maybe a Intercontinental or U.S. champion, I believe. Probably U.S. considering the U.S. was on SmackDown. Cena would have gotten there. I don't know if he would have been a 17-time or a 16-time world champion. He's not 17 yet. Wait, that's actually kind of gross. He's not a 17-time, status yet, but I think he probably could be at some point. In fact, I'd be very, very surprised. Watch him take the title from Kofi at some point. Cena would have gotten there. Eddie would have still gotten his title run. Lesnar, had he stayed on SmackDown, might have beaten Eddie and gotten it back. JBL would have never gotten a title run. But the match with Goldberg still would have taken place and Lesnar would have beat him. And then question number 2. Triple H is the only guy to face Taker at Mania 3 times. How would you rate 3 matches from, Mania 17, 27, 28? And I said this in a previous video, and I'm not knocking if it's okay if you didn't hear it, but I hated the Mania 27 match. Even though I respected what they did, Mania 27 be at the bottom. 28 would actually be right above it, or a little bit above it. I still say their Mania 17 match is the better one because both guys seemed hungrier to go out there and prove that, hey, among this loaded Mania card, we could do some great things and we could steal the show. Yeah, it's a little silly that the referee just basically took a fucking nap during the whole damn thing when he got knocked out. But I would say this match at 17 was their better one, and then 28, and then 27, I didn't really like all that well. But you're right. Imagine if they had actually had Shawn face off against Taker again at WrestleMania. Hell, if Shawn had wanted to come back and, for one more match, they would have done Taker versus Shawn at Mania 35. That would have been bad. But yeah, 17, 28, 27. From best to worst. And number 3, going back to TNA 2003, a tag match between Jeff Jarrett, Lex Luger, Sting, and AJ Styles happened. Have you seen it? What are your thoughts on it? And also, I think Lex was supposed to face Styles back in 2004. Shame that never happened. I did see the match, actually. I was able to watch those pay-per-views at a buddy's house at the time. They had a package deal, like with their cable provider, where they were able to get a good rate. And so, since TNA was doing their weekly pay-per-views back then, I did watch it. This was right around the time where Miss Elizabeth's death had happened. Or it was some time afterwards. It wasn't like right afterwards. But the day after. But it was sometime after that. And I remember not liking it. Because I didn't like Luger before that. But I didn't like Luger after that. Especially since I blamed him for Liz's death. Even though Liz was an adult, I feel Lex contributed to it. But that's another story for another day. I have seen it. Lex should have not been in the ring at that point. He was very immobile. He was more immobile than he was in 2000 when he was wrestling in WCW. And that was one of the last matches he had. I mean, I think he wrestled maybe to 2005, but then that was basically it. And then he suffered that spinal stroke and the health issues and everything. And I cried tears for him. I know I just went through my own stint in the hospital, but I never led to anybody's death, so I don't really have a lot of sympathy for Lex, but I did see the match. It was okay. I think it was a way. It was during that time also where Sting only had like 4 or 5 appearances for TNA, and they were trying to make the most out of them. And I didn't really care for the match. It wasn't anything that offended me. I just didn't like that Lex was used so shortly after Miss Elizabeth's death, and after the controversy surrounding that. If Lex had faced Styles, I don't really know, in 2004, I don't really know what you would have done. Because Lex, even in 2003, wasn't able to wrestle, so he probably would have been much better a year later. I get why they used him. He was a star, but I just didn't like it. Question number 4. In recent years, it's difficult not to notice SJW's feminist push agenda of strong females in movies. And he lists some examples here. I'm not knocking you, by the way. I'm just going to answer your question how you wrote it. Ghostbusters 2016, Star Wars Last Jedi, Captain Marvel, X-Men Dark Phoenix, Men in Black International. What do you think about them pushing strong, badly written, bland, overpowered female characters down our throats? Are you sick of it? I'm not so much sick of the female leads or women being put in roles that people may say they shouldn't be in. I mean, this was written before the whole thing came out about Halle Bailey, I think is her name, of Chloe and Halle, and I think they did an opening music thing for the WrestleMania 34. I think they sung America the Beautiful, WrestleMania 34. Apparently, and because she's black and she's going to be Ariel in this live-action remake, now everybody's just going all nuts. When I'm more upset about the fact they're remaking The Little Mermaid, I don't give a shit who the hell, I don't give a shit what her race is. I don't care if she comes from freaking Mars. I just don't like that they're remaking it and making live action. I don't care if she's black. If she can do the role, fine, that's great. I saw the Aladdin live-action remake and basically hated it, even though I thought Naomi Scott and the guy that played Aladdin were fine. Everything else was bland. It was a pointless movie. It didn't need to happen. But not because of the cast, or not because of the race of the cast, or any of that kind of stuff, or whatever. It was just because I thought the movie's unnecessary. So just going off a little bit with the Little Mermaid thing, I don't think that the race should really factor into it. As for the rest of the movies you listed, Ghostbusters 2016 having an all-female cast didn't bother me. I just didn't find the movie funny. I actually thought that the whole female cast wasn't the issue. If they want to if Hollywood's just trying to make it where they just shove women into every role and everything, just say, hey, we're featuring women, yes, that's annoying. That's annoying because it's not producing good quality. A role should be basically based around, hey, can we have women play these good roles? And yes, many women can play good roles. I mean, there was this whole thing that I guess Scarlett Johansson was going to play this trans actor in some movie, and I don't remember what it is. I apologize for that, but there was this whole backlash thing, and then she pulled out of the project, which, was what it was. I didn't really care because it didn't bother me, but I thought that was kind of ridiculous, that backlash and everything, but, hey, whatever. That's neither here nor there. I don't remember what the project was. Star Wars Last Jedi, this is the thing that bothers me about the Star Wars thing, and not you. But it's like, I got so much backlash when I talked about the Star Wars boycott being a joke. They were boycotting it because, Daisy Ridley was in there. People tend to forget that Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, was one of the most iconic female characters, one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars, period, and is a woman. So I didn't have a problem with Daisy Ridley being in there. Now, do I think that women should be just featured just for the sake of featuring women? No, I don't think men should be featured for the sake of featuring men. I think you need to feature the best actors in the best roles possible. And if women can fit these roles, fine. If women can't fit these roles and men can, fine. I don't think it's as big of a deal unless Hollywood's making it a big deal and it's clearly a marketing ploy. Captain Marvel, I didn't see Captain Marvel. Brie Larson, I believe her name is, she apparently did fine. She wanted to do it. It's a way to help show women, young women, that they can do things too. And okay, that's fine. Hollywood, I think, sometimes goes a little overboard with it, but I don't blame the women. I think what a lot of it is people going too nuts over things that really aren't that important, as, of course, I go nuts over wrestling and everything. And not you, I'm talking the vast majority when people jump on a bandwagon. I don't think it's that big of a deal as long as the women fit the roles they're cast in. I'm just getting sick of Hollywood being so lame with a lot of their remakes and reboots and sequels and this kind of stuff, more than I am the casting choices. Like, there are some casting choices that just make me scratch my head, not because of a gender choice, just because of, like, okay, hey, what the fuck? This person doesn't fit at all. But anyway, it is what it is. I don't think it's as big of a deal. I get why some people are upset. That's fine. That upsets you. It's okay. It didn't bother me. I just want the movie to be good. If the cast is good, man or woman, doesn't matter. I just want the movies to be good. I don't want them to be shit like they have been. But then again, I'm more of a horror movie fan, so I just like to see people die in movies. So, moving on. Thank you for asking that, but that's probably the best way I can answer it, really. Question number 5. What are your favorite pizza toppings? Short answer, pepperoni. I really just eat stuff with pepperoni or crumbled pepperoni or even some bacon on there. I'm a very simple person. Might have to make some diet changes after this kidney stone thing. But anyway, how do you feel about pineapple on pizza? That's been like a debate. I don't mind people that eat pineapple on pizza. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But I'm not going to say, oh God, you're terrible if you do. Have you tried carbonara pizza? I have not. Or haggis on pizza. Didn't even know it was a thing. Are you a fan of sweet pizza with chocolate pizzas, marshmallows, and strawberries? To me, that's just a pie. That's not really a pizza. I mean, I know that, Pizza Hut and other ones do, like the chocolate chip cookie thing and that kind of stuff. And that's fine. I don't consider them pizzas. I consider them pies. Or like, cake stuff. Pepperoni and bacon's pretty much my pizza topping choices. Let's see. And here we go with question number 6. Watch some old old school ECW matches on YouTube for 93-94. Eastern Championship Wrestling before it became Extreme. I never knew Jimmy Snuka played a heel character. I think he was managed by Paulie Dangerously as a TV champ. What did you think? WWF always kept him as a babyface in the 80s and 90s. It's funny you mentioned that, and you're right. But he did actually play a heel in, I believe, even Mid-Atlantic. Because he was a wild, crazy man from the Fiji Islands. He was a heel, actually, when he faced Bob Backlund in the very early 80s. In, like, the late 70s, early 80s. And then he was morphed into a babyface sometime after. But this also was around when they morphed him into a babyface. It was also shortly after the time where news came out about him killing his girlfriend, Nancy Argentino. And from there, even though he's a babyface, it was very awkward to cheer for him, because he wasn't really. It was kind of bad, even though back then, like, some news outlets caught on to it, like Vince just basically paid the cops off or did a whole bunch of stuff or whatever. It was a bit awkward to see him as that. To see him, like, as a babyface, knowing what he likely did and never faced jail time for. But yeah, if you weren't aware of his time as a heel in the 70s, some heel work in the 70s and in the very early 80s, especially against Bob Backlund, then I could see why him being a heel would throw you off. But I liked him as a heel. I thought he was actually a pretty good heel. I thought he actually fit better as a heel, even though his high-flying style and everything would get over as a babyface. I thought, especially knowing his background and the fact he's a murderer, I thought him being a heel was better. But it is very weird to see old ECW, like when they were Eastern Championship Wrestling, it was like almost like indie-rific, like not WCW, but sort of. It was like kind of goofy, and they were trying to like, it was like very, very, very goofy with its indie-rific work. I don't think it was bad, but yeah, Jimmy Snuka as a heel was pretty interesting, especially around this point, because he wasn't really doing a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, he made an appearance, like a brief return in like 96 at Survivor Series, and then like, sporadic appearances after that, but he never really did a whole lot of work after that. And I mean, granted, by this point, he was almost 50, but yeah, it was a little interesting to see him in ECW at that point. Question number 7. What do you think about American Dad? How would you rate the main characters from least interesting to best? Stan, Francine, Steve, Roger the Alien, Klaus the Fish, Haley. I'll say Stan. Klaus I actually always find interesting. Francine and Steve are kind of right there. Roger is probably Roger's, he says, is his favorite, and that's fine. I think the character's fine. It took me a lot of getting used to American Dad there. I still think it's a very hit and miss show. I think it's funny when it needs to be. Haley's probably like right below Roger, if I really had to make like a quick list. And how do you think the show compares to The Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, Cleveland Show? It's better than the Cleveland Show. I never care for the Cleveland Show. My opinion. South Park, it's right on par with a lot of some of the better South Park, maybe not the best South Park. Family Guy, it's a bit below Family Guy. Simpsons I still put up as the king, even though I admit the show should have ended a long time ago. But yeah, I like American Dad for the most part. I'm not able to keep up on it as much. I kind of gave up after a few seasons. But when I check in on it, here and there, even reruns, I'm like, yeah, this is funny. But I don't go out of my way to watch it. as far as an animated show that I actually like, and it's not one listed here, I prefer Archer. Archer is just a whole lot funnier to me. And his final question, heard the unconfirmed rumors that Donald Trump might show up as a special guest on WWE TV soon. Are you in favor or against it? And that's if Fox may want Trump to appear on TV, and I think it'd be a bad idea. I'm not surprised by Fox doing it, but I try to keep politics pretty much out of here, even though I have done a couple, scathing rants about the state of things in this country, and I try not to do that too much. I try to provide an escape on this show, and not just this show, but my channel in general. I wouldn't be for it, because why? I mean, the fucker should be running the goddamn country and not running it into the ground like he is. But that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, and sorry, if you happen to be a Trump supporter, you ain't gonna like me, because I'm not a Trump supporter at all. I wouldn't be for it because I don't see a reason for it. The guy should be running the goddamn country. If he actually loves this country like he claims, he doesn't. He needs to stay off TV, at least stay off of programs like that, and run the goddamn country. Plus, WWE doesn't need that kind of headache because they're already taking the blood money from Saudi Arabia and all that stuff and everything. But so yeah, those are the questions right there. So thank you guys so much for the great questions for episode 22. And depending on how I feel, maybe I'll do an episode on Sunday if I get enough good questions. But otherwise, I might just wait till Wednesday next week. But thanks, guys. Let me know what you think and leave your questions once again in the comments, or find me on Twitter and leave them there. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.